Today's video is brought to you by two Dapol models, their boxes shown on screen now. By the way, happy St George's Day to you. Hi everybody, welcome to the workbench. Finally, I think I'm the last person to get one of these in the country. This should be the Dapol 517. I don't normally do unboxing, but I just wanted to on this occasion. You'll see why. And there is the box that we've been waiting for. Not a lot of packing in that. Got this from the model centre, usually very good. Let's open the box. Nice little instruction manual, which we'll go through perhaps. And let's have a look what we've got. Different type, very different type of packing. So there is the beautiful little loco, but no polystyrene or clear clamshell. It seems to be attached to a little plinth. Which begs the question, when you finish running it and you want to put it away for safety, where do you put it? And there it is. And I think that is going to require a much closer look. You do get a nice little perspex plinth, and she's secured underneath by screws which you've got to undo. Let's get her onto the turntable so we can have a bit of a closer look. Right, the accessory bag does contain some very nice etched number plates to put on and some pipes which are not mentioned in the instructions other than the numbers, which look lovely. So I have to try and find out where those pipes go, but anyway, here is the lovely little model on its plinth still at the moment. As you can see, and as you've probably seen from other people's models, it is absolutely delightful. Wow. Now we have got a hole on the front of the buffer beam there. Do we have sprung buffers? And Sam would always want sprung buffers. Yes, we do. On round and have a look. Look at that shiny dome and safety valve cover. Wow, that's standout, isn't it? Now, I've noticed on other people's videos the cab details, so I'm going to zoom you in on the cab details now. So there we go. What do you think of that? Let's have a look. Can we turn her slightly? Now, as expected, she's right-hand drive, and we can tell that because just in there, that black thing there, is the reversing handle. So the driver would have been in charge of that, and I was expecting it to be right-hand drive, being Great Western. But yeah, lovely. They've done a really good job with that. Now, I could point out all the lovely detail on that, but I'm sure other videos have already been done that show that. Because I am last to get this, so I'm going to get her off a plinth and we'll get to the all-important test run. One of the things I've noticed now that she's in the cradle to be removed from the plinth, Dapol have actually gone to the trouble of showing the valve gear between the frames cut out underneath, so that when she's on the track you'll get a light that will shine up through there and give a good representation of the real working valve gear. Very fine. All the wheel pickups are touching, all look okay. So test time. So here we go, very first run, we hope. Oh wow. Look at that. Fresh out the box. For an 042 to go across those points is pretty remarkable. Now I've noticed the firebox glow, so I just want to show you that, so I'm going to put the rolling road out. So dim the studio lights just a little and look at that. what that is an alternating red and yellow LED in the firebox. Dapol seem to be able to do this and other manufacturers can't, but that's a proper flickering fire, isn't it? Excellent work there. Now, just before I move on to finding where those bits and pieces go, this pair of wheels, the rear drivers, are sprung. Can you see their movement there? Really well compensated. Throws a lot of the weight onto the drivers. That's a little touch that's much appreciated, because even now I can feel she's going to have quite a good bit of traction. She's quite heavy. I mean, there's a lot of metal in this. Right. So she's gained some crew. We have the fireman there looking back, tending to the parking brake perhaps, and the driver with his hand on the regulator leaning out the side of the cab. There's the lovely etched brass number plates. I'm tempted to fit them. They're going to look a lot better than the printed ones, I must admit. These are low level steam or vacuum pipes, and if you fit them you can't have the coupling, and as a tank engine I wanted to work both ways, so probably won't be fitting them, which is a shame because it leaves the hole on the buffer beam. These things I can't find any mention of. I would guess that there's something to do with being fitted for auto train working, and again potentially fitting them if they're low level might mean that she won't be able to function properly. I'll do some research and see if I can tell you exactly what they are. Dapol has designed this model with a removable smoke box door that lets you slide out the DCC carrier for Next 18 decoder installation. The Dapol model of 202 represents a fascinating era of the Great Western Railway history. The 517 class locomotives were the workhorses of branch lines before the more famous 1400 class ever turned a wheel. Now our little loco heads for Much Fiddley Station, and the waiting auto coach, a nice light running in job for a brand new locomotive. The auto coach is also brand new and by Dapol, and represents the Era 2 livery, which suits the loco very well. The coach is probably worth a small video all of its own, but for now we'll let 202 shine. The model employs a clever gear system that takes the main drive under the motor, thus leaving more space for other components. It sounds very like the gearbox fitted to a Porterscat motor that my dad used to fit to his best models. As 202 gets to grip with her trains, let's have a look at the history of the class. The origins of the 517 class. The 517 class was designed by George Armstrong and built at the Great Western Railway's Wolverhampton Works. They were produced in several batches between 1868 and 1885. A total of 156 were built. Designed for mixed passenger and goods trains, including livestock and local produce shuttles. The engines were notorious for being chameleons over their long lives. The Great Western engineers at Swindon and Wolverhampton constantly tinkered with them. Wheelbase length was changed between short, medium and long frames. Bunker size from tiny coal boxes to large high-capacity versions. Boilers, various types of bell pair and round top boilers. the cabs started with no cabs at all, moving to spectacle plates and eventually full enclosures. The life of number 202. Loco 202 was part of the 1873 to 1877 build. Side tanks were extended, a wheelbase of 15 foot, an improved boiler with inside axle boxes. Locking down our loco's history even more, we find that in 1876 a batch of 12 engines utilised numbers 202 to 205 and 215 to 222, previously vacated by older withdrawn classes. The Victorian era, as modelled. The livery Dapol chose, lined Great Western green with red frames, dates from the locomotive's early years, specifically the late Victorian to Edwardian period, pre-1906. During this time, the Great Western used an Indian red paint for the frames and wheels, which provided a striking contrast to the engine green. Around 1904, George Jackson Churchward, the Great Western's chief mechanical engineer, began introducing painted steel dome covers and ordered the painting over of existing brass domes to reduce maintenance. So 202 would have likely looked as modelled between 1881 and 1904, maybe escaping until 1906, but who knows for sure. By this time, the locos primarily worked light passenger and suburban shuttle services. The move to auto trains. In the early 1900s, number 202 was one of many 517s fitted with auto train gear. This allowed the driver to control the locomotive from a remote driving trailer at the front of the train, eliminating the need for the engine to run around its coaches at terminal stations. Her first passenger job done, she now heads to the shed to pick up a Great Western shunter's truck, before briefly shunting the yard. This will expose the model to all the point work and uneven track on my layout, yet she will not falter, not even a bit. Retirement. Number 202 had a remarkably long life, serving the Great Western for nearly 60 years. It was finally withdrawn from service in April 1934. By this point, the 517 class was being rapidly replaced by the Collet 4800, later known as the 1400 class, which inherited the 517's basic dimensions and spirit. I think that Locomotive 202 began its life in the Northern Division. Like most of the Wolverhampton-built 517s, its early career was spent on suburban duties around the industrial heartlands. Well, I don't think I've ever been so satisfied with a model railway purchase before. A goods train finished, we now combine the loco with a rake of Hatton's Great Western Railway 4 and 6 wheeler coaches to finish this video off in style. Hope you enjoyed that. Cheers for now.